conference, so to speak.
There is a ton of games on Thursday in college football. I mean, a bunch of them. I've seen some chatter on the chat room. The Ohio State, number 4 in the country, against Minnesota. That's one of the games on there. There's a few others. Charlie Brewer debuts Thursday night as quarterback at Utah against Weber State. And
well, he should play well in that game, I would think.
Boise State, UCF Thursday. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of good games that we can go over. North Carolina, Virginia Tech on Friday. But, yeah, Charlie, I'm really curious to see. This is not going to be the game where I feel like you get too much of a feel for how successful he's going to be at Utah. This should be one where he's probably, not playing too much in the second half, I would think. But who knows? We'll see. But I'm very curious, as I've said since his departure last November, December, whenever it was, that I cannot wait to see whether or not some of the criticism leveled towards him was valid from Baylor fans, or whether it truly was basically the offensive line and the offensive coordinator spot was a complete mess last season.
I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. Alabama, Miami is a good one. That's on Saturday afternoon in Georgia. Mm-hmm. Indiana, Iowa, kind of an early separation game in the Big Ten for those who are a part of that conversation at the great stadium in Iowa City. Let's see here. Texas and Louisiana. I'm telling you, that's 2 top 25 teams playing at DK Royal Memorial Stadium. Earl Campbell and Ricky Williams, that'll become officially, like they're going to have a ceremony there. I think last year they kind of had one, but they're going to have another one this weekend. Earl's going to join us, in fact, next week.
I don't think that UT's necessarily on upset watch. I mean, they might be in the eyes of some people, but listening to some of Sarkisian, I think he's very well aware of who they're playing. This is not Weber State. This is not – I'll go back to – I'm just going to beat up on Furman all day. Furman, it's a team that went and popped Iowa State last year unexpectedly, right? That was last year, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so they're
right off the top.
Yeah, I mean, right first week. And so they're more than capable. And the Big 12 got punched in the mouth last year in that first weekend. What else? K-State lost, I believe, right? And Iowa State had the big loss. So it was not a good start for the Big 12. But, yeah, I think Texas, they still could have their hands full no matter how prepared they are. But they're not going to be caught off guard by how good Louisiana is. I think that secret's out.
No, you're right, and especially since they've had some stinkers openers with first-year coaches, Texas Tech, Houston, we mentioned
Curious
that.
to see Hudson Card and how he does and how they work the quarterbacks, if Casey Thompson gets a lot of play or if it's mostly Card.
If I was a Texas fan, I'd be worried about that right now, because it's not I'm more confident in what happened at Baylor, where Dave Aranda says it's Gary Bohannon, and he's the starter, and not it's Gary Bohannon, the other guys might see some time. It's Gary Bohannon, he's the starter.
Right.
Anytime I hear this is the guy, but the other guy's going to play, and it's not some sort of specialty package, then I get concerned. I think that means that nobody has really wrapped their arms around it. And Steve Sarkisian has worked with a lot of really, really talented and times great quarterbacks in college football. And if he's the guy who's telling me right now I'm not confident, I trust him that, he's not comfortable. So
did he say he's not confident?
He's not saying, it took him this long. He's not saying it. His decision is saying it.
Oh, okay. LSU and UCLA is a game, of course, which has got some interest into it because of LSU getting displaced because of Hurricane Ida.
I haven't heard any more follow-up from Sarkisian ever since he announced Card as the starter. I mean, obviously it took him another week from when the first report was actually announced that Card would be the starter. They didn't decide that officially until days later. But, it could be a good problem. It could be that, hey, they're both neck and neck and they're both really good and we're good either way. Or it could be that they're both, pretty okay and this guy's just slightly better. So, yeah, we'll find out on Saturday. That's for sure.
Look, the icon Butch Henry once told me, if you've got two, you've got none. If you've got one, you've got one. And I think that's, for the most part, been true.
When we come back,